I've spent almost all of my life trying to find the people who are like me, and so far, I haven't found any. Maybe you can relate. Now, when I landed back at home in Utah, I didn't know why, because I never wanted to be back in Utah or close to the Mormon church again because of the pain that I felt from my experiences there and the rejection I felt when I left. So I had no desire to be back there. And to be honest, I didn't get along with my family, especially my father, either. I really had no intent of trying to heal the wounds there either, but he needed me. And a situation presented itself that allowed me to go back and both support him and heal my wounds around our relationship and start to think about being in the world. Because I don't know if this makes sense, but up to this point, I hadn't felt like I was in the world ever. I don't know if you've felt like not belonging. People would talk about buying a house, and I couldn't even fathom what that might mean. Why would I do that? What does that even look like? I felt like everyone else were adults playing adult games, and I was a child. Even though I'd had a business, I made lots of money in Germany. I did well for myself, but it wasn't fulfilling, which is what sent me on my entire self-development journey when it first began. And then I had to heal my relationship to Mormonism and the church, heal my relationship with my father, my mother, my family. And this is purely internal, by the way. This isn't what anyone else did or anyone else said. It was my own lived experience of tears and release and finding forgiveness in myself for all the people that I had thought harmed me and damaged me irreparably. But when I was there in Utah, I was called away. And when I was called away, I began to study with some very intense teachers. Each of these teachers was a woman, and each of these women had a special gift for me. And as I entered into relational healing, whatever the space was, which with each of them, I had miraculous experiences and I learned deep things about healing. Then I learned about inspiration as I traveled to England, and I had a partner who was experiencing past lives, for lack of a better term. And we traveled to places where those past lives happened, and she experienced things from those lives. As far as I can tell, I don't know the depth of it. Still, it was mind-blowing, and the experience was mind-blowing, but we were just led by our feelings, by our intuition through all of England to have all sorts of experiences, and that was powerful. Then I was led to Canada and had powerful healing experiences with someone else, and also learned to play poker live. So that was something that influenced me moving forward. This feels like a confession. It was harder for me to start playing poker and feel okay about it than it was to be naked in a room full of strangers as a former Mormon. So that tells you the kind of fear I had around gambling and money and poker and things like that. I'm just recounting this whole journey, remembering where I went. Yes, then I had my second guru briefly, and there was a very traumatic explosion at the end of that. I was briefly with my father again before he went to prison, and then I met Allison, and Allison has changed my entire life. Allison has been the first person that I met where I was able to feel safety, because so many of these experiences trying to build relationship over the past decade had ended with 3 months, 6 months, and then, this isn't working out. And Allison was a different form of relationship. It wasn't traditional, but she created a cocoon for me. And I guess what I felt there was what I wanted to feel maternally my entire life. And that allowed transformation to happen. And then someone else appeared, and that has been a hell of a journey, which is its own series of stories. I guess I can call her my third guru for now, because she said the right thing at the right time, and it seldom felt good, and it was often not fun, but it was always perfect. So to understand a relationship that can be perfect, even though it doesn't feel good necessarily in the moment, was a real mind transformation, a real transformation of my thinking. Now, I put up some YouTube videos. I put up one in 2012. I put up one in 2017, 2018, I think. And I had gathered groups on Telegram to talk about two things. Number one, pleasure as a mental experience and a healing modality. And number two, white tigress and the deeper teachings of female immortality, longevity, youthfulness. And I just kind of fell into both of these. And after all of these journeys and all of this pain and all of this learning in all of these weird places, now, finally, after trying many times and failing, after working one-on-one, after trying to create online courses, in June, July of this year, I felt I have to create something. I have to create a way to give what needs to be received to those who want it. And so I looked at all of the online course platforms, and you know them if you're in the personal development world. I looked at the freeware offerings. I looked at plugins for WordPress. I looked at what was being used open source by big universities and things. And AI, of course, has been making progress the last few years, and that's an entire story for itself. But AI has gotten good enough that you can actually program with it. And so July 7th, I sat there and stared at AI and stared at all the possibilities for online training. And I said, nothing exists that's going to teach how I want to teach. So what am I going to do? All right, maybe I can create something. And it felt like a special moment. It felt like a watershed. It felt like you were taking the road less traveled in that moment, or a road that's going to influence your entire life. And so I began to go down that road, and I began to try to figure out how to program with this thing. And surprisingly, it took me about 4 days to create a prototype with AI. And I was copying code back and forth and sending messages. I didn't really know how to code that well. My background is software development, but not coding. So I was just plugging things in. After a while, I had something that kind of worked, and I didn't really do anything with it. I thought, okay, I have a demo product. And then I found YuKnowHost, which is a way to host your own server, and a bunch of technological solutions. And then around the end of August, I had just finished the How to Be Famous course with Whitney Euland, who is amazing and inspirational. And I thought, okay, I want to be authentic and present, and I want to communicate with people, and I want to share somehow. So I took this application, and I had a big list from my YouTube presence, but that I hadn't really spoken to in a while. And I said, if you want, you can learn these pleasure principles with me, and you can understand how your mind can catalyze pleasure and expand and build your pleasure, which is kind of the entire journey that I've been on since 2003 to 2000, let's say 2008 intensely, but looking for happiness, looking for enjoyment, looking for that abundant life that Jesus was talking about in all these places. And so I offered this system. Well, once I started offering the system and a few people bought it and a few people have been using it the last 6 weeks, this has been mind-blowing, because what I've been able to do, what Claude calls it, the AI Claude, is scaling intimacy, or you can call it scaling relationship or connection. But what it allows me to do is to support probably 10 times, maybe 20 times as many people as effectively, or almost as effectively, or in some ways more effectively than I had supported people one-on-one. And the vision for this that I had created this way had been growing in me the last 15 years. And it was for the entire goal that I had from the very beginning of this story. And the very beginning of this story was about, how do we live in a happy world together? That was really what I wanted. I wanted the community, the connection, the love that I had felt in brief moments in life. And yeah, often those were church moments, but that I didn't know how to find again. So this thing feels like the path through, the way to do it. And yeah, so I'm talking about it finally. I'm going to put out some videos about it. I'm going to share. Point is to help men and women, to help people to learn the stuff that has helped me, even though it may be from the outside has looked like I've been lost and chaotic for a lot of years. It seems the retirement is ending. I'm stepping back into the world. I'm going to begin sharing deeply and sharing this thing that is being created. And we will see what happens. I hope something good happens. I hope good things happen. Yeah, if anything about that was interesting, I respond well to questions. So if you ask me anything about anything that I just referenced, I will probably make a video about it for you. And I think we're on the journey now to a new world in a good way. And yes, there's an offer of kind of a yucky world that's being offered, but I think we can create whatever world we want. And that's the other path. And it feels like all the pieces are in place now to do that. So that's my feeling, that we're now able to move toward that. Thank you for listening. If you made it this far, this has been Ryan Auroch. At least that was the name I received originally. Do any of us know who we really are? Well, that's the question we're going to be looking at together. So we will see. Love you. Thank you.